Good morning. Welcome to the Coach's IDP Studz and Rankings podcast for week number 15. Season has flown by so fast. Everybody's getting ready and geared up for their playoffs now for fantasy football, and we're a couple weeks away for the NFL playoffs starting. So we want to look into some of the guys that were injured last week 14, who have a chance or maybe out this week. So there's some guys to look at to check your waiver wire to see if they're available for pickup. So we want to go through some of those guys, and then we'll get into the rankings as there have been a few changes, a little bit towards the top on the overall and some of the position stuff. So let's get started here. Let's talk about some injuries here. Kyle Hamilton, safety for Baltimore. He's going to be out a couple weeks, I believe. He's been awfully good this year for Baltimore. Made a lot of plays at the line of scrimmage. So we want to. That's going to be an impact to the Ravens defense. So we want to look at where they're going to go, where they're going to turn this week, and it may be a committee that's going to fill those spots. So we'll take a look at that. Buffalo, AJ Espinoza, defensive end. He left the game early this past week, so we want to keep our eye on him, make sure that see if he's going to be out or if he's questionable or if he's good to go. So we want to keep our eye on him. Grant Delphus, safety for Cleveland. He left the game early. I think he had some kind of an injury to his ribs or his chest area. So he's a big loss for Cleveland, as Cleveland's, they're going to play Chicago, and Fields is starting to come on a little bit here. He probably Delphus probably would have been on the side of DJ Moore, so that may turn out to be a big loss for the Cleveland Browns. Also for Buffalo, Micah Hyde left early. So somebody, defensively, when they are playing Dallas this week, Dallas has a lot of good receivers. And so we want to kind of keep our eye there. And I think that is going to be, from what I read earlier, it's going to be a committee that's going to fill his spot. They're going to rotate a couple guys in there. I don't think they have that solidified as a number one backup. So they're going to use a couple different guys in Micah Hyde's position at safety. Nate Landman, linebacker for Atlanta. He left the game early. So, he's somebody we're going to keep our eye on. He only may be out for the rest of the game last week, so he may be back this week. But if not, we want to get a close eye on who his backup is and who's going to fill his spot. And lastly, I want to talk about Will Anderson Jr. He went out early. He got dinged up. I think he was taken out precautionary reasons. Didn't return to the game. They started to get kind of blown out there. C.J. Stroud went down with an injury, so I think they kind of wrote that game off at the time of his injury, and they did not want to take a chance to get Will Anderson Jr. injured anymore. So there's a few others out there that were injured, but I think these are the game changer guys that really help their defenses. So we want to keep an eye on them, and also who comes in and plays in their positions for them, and also take a look at how long these individuals are going to be out of the lineup. So So let's talk about some waiver wire pickups because of the injuries. Um, guy that's really playing well right now has had a great rookie season. Ivan Pace Jr., linebacker from Minnesota. I know early in the season he was on a lot of waiver wires. He was still out there. People didn't know much about him. But as the seasons went on, he's really made a really good name for himself. So um, keep your fingers crossed. Take a look on your waiver wire, see if he's available, and if so, we want to try to pick him up and stash him, or pick him up and play him. If you need uh, a linebacker that's kind of high energy, and he's going to run and he's going to make plays for you, he would be the dude. So uh, try to look at him and see if he's available. Jelani Tavea, linebacker, New England. You never know who New England's going to play at linebacker. Ever since Judon went down, Matthew Judon, um, it's kind of been just kind of a revolving door there at the linebacker position for New England. But they've got a lot of other issues going on in their defense. It seems like they play well in the first half, and then they come out of the locker room and it's a little sluggish, or game management at halftime is not up to par. So, but Jelani has played pretty well this year when he has been in there. So keep an eye and look for him. Ronnie Anderson Jr. Has been a really pleasant surprise for the Indianapolis Colts. They picked him up off of another team's practice squad, put him on the Colts practice squad, and then when they released Shaquille Leonard, um, that's who replaced him as Ronnie Harrison, and he had a pick six. He's had a couple fumble recoveries and interceptions since he's been on the team for the last 3 or 4 weeks. So, he may possibly still be out there on the waiver wire, and if he is, I like him. I think he's worth an ad, and I think he'll continue to play well for the Indianapolis Colts. The Colts secondary has been dinged up quite a bit. They've got a couple of rookies back there, and a couple other guys have been dinged up for a while. So I think with Harrison and Moore playing in the defensive backfield for Indianapolis, they're holding it together. So take a look for Harrison Jr. on the waiver wire. Leonard Williams, since he's been traded to Seattle, he has put some really good numbers up. Defensive tackle, defensive end, depending on where they want to line him up, has really done a nice job of picking up his play and his effort. And in Seattle, I just think it's maybe the culture change just needed a change, but he's somebody who has really done a nice job. And I know it's tough, when you're playing fantasy or dynasty, defensive tackles, don't score as much, but you still want to have that guy that's going to give you a sack, tackles for loss. It's going to be in some solo or even half tackles. Those numbers do add up, and they do help in a close contest. So watch for him. And then a guy I really like, talked about before, George Karlaftis, defensive end for Kansas City. I think Kansas City's D-line has been dinged up a little bit. They did get, some guys back, but right now he's playing very well. He's, if he's not getting to the passer, he's getting his hands up and he's making some plays. he's just a baller. He's not flashy. He's not the best athlete on the field, but he's around the football and he's going to score points for you in your fantasy or dynasty leagues. So keep your eye on him also. Okay, let's zoom over here to look at our rankings a little bit here. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about. We'll talk a little bit about linebackers to start with. Um, the ranking wise, I post those up, pretty much every week, and it's just hard to get past the top 10 guys. They really deservingly need to be up in the top 10 because of what they mean to the team, the points that they put up, the plays that they make. They're just really fantastic ball players. And so, at linebacker, Oklahoma from Jacksonville, linebacker still number one. Roquan Smith, Baltimore Ravens, 2. Nick Bolton is back. He had that injury for a couple of weeks. He's going to fit in there at number 3 for Kansas City. Devin White has played really well, and I know he's getting a little bit older here, but he still makes plays for Tampa Bay. He's a nice, he does a little bit of everything, but also keeps that Tampa Bay defense intact, being the leader that he has been for a number of years now. Fred Warner, at any given time could move up to the top. I mean, he is a baller, a player, has done really well. Someone else that, coming in at number 6, Logan Wilson, surprisingly, I mean, he is done really, really well this year. And he had a nice year last year. So he started out fairly high in the rankings and has just continuing to get better. And I think a lot of his success goes towards his defensive line in front of him. They do a really nice job of keeping blockers off of him so he can just run freely and make plays. So, Wilson has had a really nice year. Bobby Okereke from the Giants, he just took his game to a new level after he left the Indianapolis Colts and he went out to New York Giants. I think for the Colts, he was an outside linebacker, weak side outside linebacker, and now the Giants have moved him in the middle, so now he can go either way, attack the line of scrimmage, and make the plays that every team needs. And I saw a stat the other day. He's played every snap this year for the Giants, so that's huge. When you've got your leader, staying on the field for all 3 downs, it just makes life a lot more simpler for a defensive coordinator. Zaire Franklin, linebacker for the Colts, just continues to get better because of his play and how well he has done. That was the reason why they could let Leonard go and bring in another defensive back where they were desperately in need of help. So, watching Zaire play sideline to sideline, making plays, and he's also been nominated for the Colts Man of the Year award. So obviously he's a dude on the field and off the field. Pete Warner, New Orleans Saints linebacker, is just a guy that plays hard every down, runs hard, makes plays. Again, he's kind of like George Karlaftis at the defensive line, where he's not flashy. He's not the most talented individual on the team, but he makes plays, and he makes life simpler for game planning against an offense with him on the field. And then at number 10, Jordan Brooks. I think he was the one that moved up quite a bit this week for Seattle. I think he's now healthy. They had their bye week a couple weeks ago, and I think he's just gotten healthier and healthier week by week when some of the guys are getting dinged up more and more. So he has moved up in the top 10 this week, and many others are right on his tail. They're awfully good players. Put up stats, put up the numbers, make the plays. It's a different breed. An NFL linebacker is a different breed of individual. They have to do so many different things correctly, whether it's getting people lined up correctly, making the plays, dropping coverage, play the run. So hats off to these guys and the rest of the rest of the guys on this list. Let's talk a little bit about defensive line. A couple guys here could be also listed as linebackers, but we want to stay with what percentage wise. We talked a couple weeks ago about looking at their snap totals, where they line up, whether they line up at the defensive line or they line up as linebackers. So kind of stayed with that a little bit. So for the defensive line, Micah Parsons is still number one for me. Just watch him play week after week, and he's got a good chance to be in the defensive MVP of the league, in my estimations. So Nick Bosa was the MVP last year, and he's number 2 on this list. Just consistent. When you're an MVP, you're doing a heck of a lot of things correctly. So awfully good there. Myles Garrett, he's put a tremendous year together. Has done really well. I was a little nervous for him. He got dinged up a little bit Sunday, but looked like he was fine on the sideline. So I expect him to play this week and continuing to be a terror wherever he lines up at. TJ Watt dinged up a little bit. So we'll see if he plays this evening against the Colts. Max Crosby has played very well this year. He's kind of a man among men out there. He's the kind of scary guy. So plays hard, makes plays, and he's got a high motor. And those 3 intangible things make you a really good NFL football player. Aiden Hutchinson, for his second year, he's just putting great numbers together. And he has probably been the one that has moved up the most this year. Comes in at number 6 for me. I think he started out in the teens area, 17, 18, when we started this. So just week by week, he has gotten so much better. And we knew he was good when he was drafted out of Michigan. But again, the NFL is a different level, but, it's kind of like, he's taken to it, and no surprises there. Hassan Reddick, he's a defensive end for the Philadelphia Eagles, and he is another one who quietly makes a lot of plays. He is around the ball. and he makes the plays that need to be made. He doesn't get all the attention. All the attention seems to be going to the defensive tackles this year, but him lining up as a defensive end just kind of makes life so much better when you're a Philadelphia Eagles fan. Brian Burns, defensive end, linebacker slash for Carolina. Just because the team is not doing really well doesn't reflect on him at all. He's still a really good ball player and plays hard. He went out a couple weeks ago and didn't think he was going to return, and didn't care what the score was. He wanted to get on and help his team and his defense do the best they possibly could. So that was nice to see that he didn't try to sit out. He wanted to play. So Kayvon Thibodeau for the Giants comes in at number 9. It's gotten better every week again. I think he is another one like Hutchinson, started out in the teens area and has started to really figure it out now. And I think now some teams are starting to run away from him. And as they do that, the Giants are needing to make some adjustments. But I've seen him line up down inside a couple times to help alleviate that. And, it's something he's willing to do to try to help the Giants stay on this winning streak that they have. And that number 10, Quentin Williams, he's a dude in the middle. He gets double teamed every time and still makes plays. Finds a way to fight off the double team. Lots of tackles in the backfield, disrupting the run plays or, forcing the quarterback to run out of the pocket. So he is, one of those guys from Alabama that just makes a huge difference when they get to the NFL level. So, real quick, let's go to the defensive backs. I don't think there's been much change here. The defensive backs, Derwin James it comes in at number 1. Jalen Petrie comes in number 2. Brisker from Chicago is number 3. 4 and 5, Fitzpatrick and Winfield could flip-flop those guys. They're both really good, similar players. I think Fitzpatrick might be a little bit bigger, but they both do the same thing. Kind of both like quarterbacks in the backfield on your defense. So they do what they're asked to do, and they do it really well. Buda Baker is now healthy. Again, he's a baller, gets after it, plays hard. Be interesting to see how he does this week against San Francisco, and see who's going to draw the straw that's going to has to cover Debo Sanders or Debo, yeah. And we'll see where he what happens there. Kyle Hamilton. He's got that injury. He's going to probably sit out this week, possibly next week, but has a really nice season. Kyle Duggar is still consistently the best defensive back that New England's had for a while, I think. Obviously, they had the Twins a while back, and they've had some good players there, obviously, on the defensive side. But Kyle Duggar is, kind of the last one standing, and has done it really well. And number 9 is Cameron Curl from Washington. And then coming in at number 10 is Talano Hufagana. I know I'm going to butcher that. Sorry. He's on the IR right now, but when he's healthy, he's a dominant player and deserves to be in the top 10. At number 11, I have Jamal Adams, so I could flip-flop them. But I really like what Afghana can give you. So, well, that's this week. Appreciate you listening. Appreciate you. Um, just kind of send. I've received many questions in the last couple of weeks, so send those questions over at IDP_Studz with a Z, and see if we can get those answered for you. Make sure you check your lineups. Make sure you check your waiver wire. Tonight starts the week 15, Colts in Pittsburgh. So get dialed in on that, and make sure that you're set and ready to go. Remember, defenses win championships, and I want to thank Fantasy Holics for giving me the opportunity to do this and do this podcast. And I really enjoy spending a few minutes with you guys, just talking about defense. So have a great night. Have a great weekend. Hope your teams win, and everybody stays healthy. So we'll talk to you next week. Thank you very much.